Imagine you are walking along the edge of one of the most remote places in the British Isles, the Claerwen Reservoir in mid-Wales. It's a place of vast, grey water and jagged peaks, a landscape that feels indifferent to human life. It's October 18th, 2024. The air is sharp. You re-navigating the North Shore, a place so isolated that even the most dedicated hikers rarely reach it. And then you see it. A dark shape bobbing rhythmically against the rocks. You think it's a log, or perhaps a piece of industrial debris from the dam. But as you get closer, the shape takes a human form. It is a man. He is floating face down, fully clad in a professional black-hand blue wetsuit. This is where the story should end, a tragic accident of a lone swimmer. But in the world of bizarre blueprint, we don't look at what's there. We look at what's missing. And in the case of the Claerwen John Doe, everything is missing. No oxygen tanks, no mask, no car in the parking lot, no name. For over a year, this man has existed only as a forensic file. Today, we are deconstructing the blueprint of a modern-day phantom. Why was a man dressed for a triathlon found in a dead zone where swimming is a death sentence? Let's map the location. Claerwen is the largest reservoir in the Elan Valley system. It holds more water than the other 3 neighboring reservoirs combined. It is an engineering marvel, but it is also a graveyard for the past. When it was built, it submerged an entire valley, including the Grand Nantgwilt mansion. The body was found on the North Shore. To understand why this is a glitch, you have to understand the logistics of that shore. The famous Claerwen Dam and the public car parks are at the southern end. To reach the spot where the body was found, you have to trek for miles over unforgiving, trackless terrain. If this man was a local, where was his transport? Police conducted a massive sweep of every trailhead and parking area within a 10-mile radius. They found nothing. No abandoned cars, no mountain bikes, no locked-up motorcycles. The nearest bus stop, a 4-hour walk through the mountains. Think about the physics of that. A man in his 40s or 50s, carrying a heavy gear bag, or already wearing a thick, restrictive rubber wetsuit, walking for 4 hours across the Welsh moors, just to enter a restricted reservoir. It defies every logical blueprint of human behavior. Most swimmers want to be near their car, so they can warm up immediately after exiting 10 degrees Celsius water. This man was miles from warmth, miles from help, and miles from any trace of his arrival. Let's look at the only piece of physical evidence, the suit. The man was wearing a Zone 3 Agile wetsuit, size extra large. In the world of open water swimming, the Agile branding signifies speed and performance. It's a specific tool designed for high flexibility, used by serious triathletes who need buoyancy without sacrificing mobility. This wasn't a casual purchase. It points to a high level of fitness and a clear purpose. The size, XL. This tells us the man was a physical powerhouse. Investigators estimate he was between 6 feet and 6 feet 5 inches tall, weighing around 200 to 220 pounds. The state of the body, he had been in the water for up to 12 weeks. That places his entry into the reservoir sometime in late July 2024, the height of summer. Now, let's consider forensic buoyancy. A body's position in the water is a blueprint of its final moments. The fact that he was found on the remote North Shore after potentially drifting for weeks complicates the timeline. Currents in a reservoir are dictated by wind and temperature, not strong tides. For him to end up there, he either entered the water nearby, or his journey across the reservoir was a slow, unpredictable crawl. It means, for nearly 3 months, he was part of the reservoir's cold, silent ecosystem. But the real question isn't just how he got there, it's, where was he for 3 months? A wetsuit is not a self-contained life support system. If you are swimming in a reservoir as deep and cold as Claerwen, you need a tow float, a bright orange buoy to stay visible. You need goggles. You need a swim cap to prevent heat loss from the head. He had none of it. He was also found without a watch, without jewelry, and without a single personal item tucked into the suit. If you've ever worn a wetsuit, you know they don't have pockets. You usually hide your car key in a small internal key loop, or leave your bag on the shore. Police searched that shore with drones, heat-seeking cameras, and cadaver dogs. They found nothing, no shoes, no towel, no water bottle. It is as if he entered the water from the air. In most cases of an unidentified body, there is a flurry of activity. A family realizes someone didn't come home. A coworker notices an empty desk. A landlord reports a tenant missing. But the Claerwen John Doe has triggered a global silence. Dyfed-Powys police have run his DNA and fingerprints through every database in the UK. They reached out to Interpol. They checked missing persons reports from across Europe. The result, total void. This brings us to a chilling realization. This was a man of significant stature, over 6 feet tall, who bought a specific 200-pound rated wetsuit. Someone, somewhere, sold him that suit. Someone saw him buy it, and yet no one has come forward. Was he a traveler, a tourist who entered the country, or was he someone who had spent his entire life carefully erasing his blueprint before finally stepping into the water? We see this in high strangeness cases, individuals who appear in locations where the math of their arrival doesn't work. Like the Dyfed-Powys Reservoir mystery from 1989, where a body was found only after a drought revealed a submerged road. But while Dyfed-Powys was a murder, the Claerwen case is being treated as not suspicious. No trauma, no foul play. Just a man who decided to become part of the reservoir. The final blueprint of the Claerwen John Doe remains unfinished. He is a man who was prepared for the water, but seemingly went to great lengths to ensure he was never prepared to be identified. We are left with a tall man in an XL suit, a restricted reservoir, and a 12-week gap in time that no one can account for. The authorities at Dyfed-Powys police are still asking for help. They aren't looking for a killer. They are looking for a name. If you have any theories on how a man could reach the north shore of Claerwen without a vehicle, or why someone would choose such a desolate dead zone for their final swim, join the analysis in the comments. I'm your name, and this is Bizarre Blueprint. We map the stories that defy logic, so you don't have to wander into the dark alone. Subscribe to see the world differently. We'll see you in the next deep dive.